The cardio you are doing right now, the kind everyone tells you to do, may be the single biggest reason your body refuses to change. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly why. And more importantly, what to do instead. Section 1. The cardio illusion. Picture this. Someone wakes up every morning at 6, laces up their shoes, gets on the treadmill or heads outside. 45 minutes to an hour of steady jogging. 5 days a week. Every week. They do this for 3 months straight. They do not miss a single session. Their discipline is genuinely impressive. And at the end of those 3 months, they stand on the scale, and the number has barely moved, maybe 2 or 3 pounds. Their clothes feel roughly the same. The mirror does not look dramatically different. So what do? They add more cardio. They go from 45 minutes to 60, from 5 days to 6. They push harder. They sweat more. They feel like they are earning results through sheer suffering, and the results still do not come. This is not a rare story. This is the story of millions of people who have been handed the wrong tool for a job they desperately want done. Here is what nobody in a gym has ever told them. Their body adapted. Completely. Silently. And while they were busy logging miles, their metabolism was busy protecting itself. Section 2. The adaptation trap. Why steady-state cardio stops working. The human body is the most sophisticated adaptation machine ever developed. And that is normally a beautiful thing, except when it works directly against what you're trying to accomplish. When you perform the same cardio at the same intensity for the same duration repeatedly, your body undergoes a process called metabolic adaptation. It studies the demand. It learns the pattern. And then it becomes extraordinarily efficient at meeting that exact demand using as few calories as possible. Think about what that actually means. The first week you run for 45 minutes, your body burns a certain number of calories doing it. By week 6, performing the identical session, your body has optimized its mechanics, its oxygen use, its fuel systems, and it burns measurably fewer calories completing the exact same work. You are doing the same thing. Your body is doing less. And it gets more complicated than that. There is a phenomenon in exercise science called compensatory behavior. And it is one of the most overlooked reasons steady-state cardio produces diminishing returns for fat loss specifically. When you perform prolonged, moderate-intensity cardio, your body responds by increasing hunger, specifically hunger for carbohydrate-dense foods. Not because you are weak, not because of poor willpower, because ghrelin, your primary hunger hormone, rises significantly following sustained moderate cardio in ways that it does not following shorter, more intense exercise. So the cardio makes you hungrier. The hunger drives increased food intake. The increased intake offsets the caloric expenditure. The scale does not move. And the person on the treadmill blames themselves. The biology was working against them the entire time. But here is what I actually want you to think about. If moderate steady-state cardio causes metabolic adaptation and increases compensatory hunger, why has it been the default recommendation for fat loss for the last 4 decades? Because it is easy to prescribe, easy to measure, easy to sell equipment around, and easy to keep people coming back when it does not work, because they believe the failure was theirs. Section 3. The cortisol connection, the part nobody talks about. Here's the part of this conversation that almost never gets addressed in mainstream fitness content. Prolonged moderate intensity cardio, particularly when performed in a caloric deficit, which most fat loss focused individuals are simultaneously maintaining, is a chronic cortisol stimulus. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. And in the context of fat loss, it is a paradox wrapped inside a biology lesson. Short-term cortisol elevation, the kind that occurs during brief, intense exercise, is productive. It mobilizes fatty acids, drives energy production, and supports the hormonal environment of acute physical performance. The cortisol rises, the session ends, and the body recovers. Prolonged moderate intensity cardio produces a different cortisol response. Sustained elevation across 45 to 60 minutes of steady effort, combined with the chronic stress of caloric restriction, and potentially compounded by the psychological stress of professional and personal life, creates a cortisol environment that the body responds to in a specific and counterproductive way. Chronically elevated cortisol promotes the preferential storage of fat in visceral adipose tissue, specifically abdominal fat. It elevates blood glucose through gluconeogenesis, driving insulin secretion that suppresses fat oxidation. It promotes muscle protein breakdown, reducing the lean mass that drives resting metabolic rate. And it suppresses testosterone and growth hormone, the hormonal environment most directly associated with maintaining the body composition that fat loss programs are attempting to build. The person grinding through daily long cardio sessions in a caloric deficit is not just failing to lose fat efficiently. In many cases, they are actively creating the biological conditions for fat accumulation, specifically in the area they are most trying to address. This is not a fringe theory. This is the logical conclusion of well-characterized exercise endocrinology applied to the specific conditions under which most cardio-focused fat loss attempts occur. I want you to think about the last time you pushed yourself through a cardio session you genuinely did not want to do. You were tired. You were stressed. You were running on 5 hours of sleep and a coffee. But you showed up because you believed that showing up at any cost was the answer. And then you wondered why the results did not match the sacrifice. The sacrifice was real. The biology simply was not cooperating with the method. That changes right now. Section 4. What actually works and the science behind it. The cardio that builds a leaner body operates on different biological principles than the cardio most people are doing. And it is not more complicated. In many cases, it is actually less time-consuming. But it demands something that long, slow cardio does not: genuine intensity. Let me give you 3 specific approaches that the research and practical application consistently support for fat loss, metabolic health, and long-term body composition. Approach 1. High-intensity interval training performed correctly. High-intensity interval training is not a new concept, but the way most people perform it strips it of the specific mechanisms that make it effective. True high-intensity interval work requires intervals that genuinely approach maximal effort. Not a pace that feels hard, but one that is physiologically demanding at the level of oxygen consumption and metabolic stress. The rest periods are not optional recovery bonuses. They are the mechanism through which the subsequent interval can be performed with sufficient intensity to produce the adaptation the protocol is designed to generate. A protocol of 8 to 10 intervals, each lasting 20 to 40 seconds at genuine maximal effort, followed by 40 to 80 seconds of complete rest, performed 2 to 3 times weekly, produces several specific adaptations that prolonged moderate cardio does not. It dramatically increases excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. The elevated metabolic rate that persists for hours to over 24 hours following the session as the body restores homeostasis. This means the caloric expenditure of a 15-minute high-intensity interval session extends across the following day, producing a total energy expenditure impact that significantly exceeds what the session duration would suggest. It preserves and in some populations increases lean muscle mass, the primary driver of resting metabolic rate. While prolonged cardio in a caloric deficit degrades lean mass, high-intensity interval training provides the mechanical and metabolic stimulus that signals muscle preservation even under conditions of reduced caloric intake. And critically, it produces a significantly different hormonal response. The acute cortisol spike of a brief intense session resolves rapidly. The testosterone and growth hormone surge following high-intensity work is substantially greater than that following moderate steady-state cardio. The post-session hormonal environment favors fat oxidation and muscle preservation, rather than the fat storage and muscle degradation associated with chronic, moderate-intensity endurance stress. Approach 2. Resistance training as a cardiovascular tool. This will challenge something many people believe about the categories of exercise. Resistance training, when structured appropriately, is not a separate alternative to cardiovascular exercise. It is a cardiovascular exercise that simultaneously provides the mechanical loading stimulus most critical for body composition improvement. Circuit-style resistance training, moving between compound exercises with minimal rest, elevates heart rate into cardiovascular training zones while simultaneously providing the progressive mechanical stimulus that drives muscle development and metabolic rate elevation. A session consisting of squats, Romanian deadlifts, push presses, and rows performed in sequence with 60 to 90 seconds between rounds produces a cardiovascular demand comparable to moderate intensity cardio alongside the body composition benefits that moderate cardio cannot deliver. The lean muscle mass built through resistance training is the most sustainable long-term fat loss tool available, because it permanently elevates the number of calories the body burns at rest. Every pound of muscle added to the body increases resting caloric expenditure. The treadmill miles burned calories during the session and stopped. The muscle burns calories continuously, during sleep, during desk work, during every moment of the day. This is the compounding metabolic return that resistance training provides and that cardio-only approaches cannot replicate. Approach 3. Zone 2. Training used strategically, not chronically. Here is the nuance that separates genuine fitness understanding from surface-level advice. Zone 2 training. The sustained, low-intensity aerobic work that falls between easy walking and moderate jogging, typically at 60 to 70% of maximum heart rate, is genuinely valuable for cardiovascular health, mitochondrial development, and fat oxidation capacity. It is not the enemy. The problem is not Zone 2 training. The problem is Zone 2 training performed at insufficient intensity to produce meaningful cardiovascular adaptation, but at sufficient intensity and duration to elevate cortisol, drive compensatory hunger, and produce the metabolic adaptation that diminishes returns over time. Used strategically, 2 to 3 sessions per week of 30 to 45 minutes at a genuinely easy conversational pace, as active recovery between more intense sessions. Zone 2 training supports aerobic-based development, enhances mitochondrial density, and improves the body's capacity to oxidize fat as a fuel source at higher exercise intensities. The key distinction is strategic placement rather than exclusive reliance. Zone 2 as one component of a varied training approach is powerful. Zone 2, as the entirety of a fat loss cardio strategy, is the approach that produces the diminishing returns and compensatory biology described earlier in this script. Section 5. The weekly structure that actually produces results. So what does a weekly training structure actually look like when built around these principles? 3 resistance training sessions targeting the full body through compound movement patterns, performed on non-consecutive days to allow adequate recovery and muscle protein synthesis between sessions. 2 high-intensity interval sessions, each lasting 15 to 20 minutes of actual work, performed on separate days from the heaviest resistance sessions to avoid the central nervous system fatigue that compromises both the intensity of the intervals and the quality of the resistance work. 1 to 2 Zone 2 sessions, easy conversational pace, 30 to 40 minutes, used as active recovery that supports aerobic adaptation without imposing the cortisol and hunger-driving effects of moderate intensity sustained cardio. Daily movement outside formal training, walking, taking stairs, standing during calls, post-meal movement, that accumulates the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, contributing meaningfully to total daily caloric expenditure without any of the compensatory hunger and metabolic adaptation effects of formal moderate cardio. This structure trains the cardiovascular system. It builds and preserves lean mass. It creates the hormonal environment most favorable for fat oxidation. It manages the cortisol load that chronic cardiocentric approaches chronically elevate. And it does all of this in less total weekly training time than the daily treadmill routine it replaces. The results are not faster because the approach is harder. They are faster because the approach is aligned with the biology of how the body actually changes, rather than opposed to it. Section 6. The nutrition layer, because cardio does not exist in isolation. No conversation about cardio and fat loss is complete without addressing the layer that determines whether any exercise approach produces results: nutrition. And specifically, the one nutritional variable that interacts most directly with the cardio compensation biology described throughout this script: protein. The compensatory hunger that moderate intensity cardio drives is real and measurable, but its effect on total caloric intake is substantially moderated by the satiety that adequate protein provides. Research consistently demonstrates that protein is the most satiating macronutrient, producing the strongest and most sustained suppression of ghrelin and the most significant stimulation of the satiety hormones that signal fullness. Individuals consuming adequate protein, distributed consistently across meals throughout the day, experience dramatically less of the compensatory eating behavior that undermines the caloric deficit cardio is designed to create. Beyond satiety, adequate protein intake, combined with the resistance training and high-intensity interval work described in this script, is the nutritional prerequisite for the muscle preservation that protects resting metabolic rate during fat loss. Without sufficient protein, even the most intelligently structured training program cannot prevent the lean mass degradation that reduces the metabolic rate and makes subsequent fat loss progressively harder. The target is not complicated. A minimum of 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, distributed across 3 to 4 meals daily, consumed from whole food sources wherever possible. This single nutritional commitment, applied consistently alongside the training structure described, addresses the compensatory biology that has been working against most people's cardio-focused fat loss attempts. Conclusion: the cardio reset. Here is what I want you to take from this. The person who has been grinding through daily cardio sessions without results is not lacking dedication. They are not failing because of insufficient effort. They are working hard within a framework that the biology of human adaptation consistently works against. Understanding why something is not working is not discouraging. It is the most empowering information available, because it means the answer is not to try harder at the same thing. It is to try something different. Stop performing the same moderate intensity cardio your body has fully adapted to. Start incorporating the training modalities that preserve metabolic rate, manage the hormonal environment, and produce the post-exercise effects that extend the fat-burning window beyond the session itself. Prioritize the protein that manages compensatory hunger and protects the lean mass your metabolism depends on. And, perhaps most importantly, stop measuring your cardio by the suffering it produces and start measuring it by the results it generates. Because your body does not reward suffering. It rewards the specific biological stimulus that produces the specific adaptation you are after. The treadmill was not the problem. The approach was. And now you have a different one. The fitness industry has known for years that the cardio most people do makes fat loss harder. They just never had a financial reason to tell you. If you have been doing cardio consistently for more than 3 months and your body has not significantly changed, this video is the explanation you have been looking for and nobody has given you. There is a specific type of cardio that tells your body to store fat, break down muscle, and stay hungry. And there is a very high probability that it is the exact cardio you have been doing. The explanation of why resistance training is a superior long-term fat loss tool because lean mass elevates resting metabolic rate continuously, including during sleep and rest. The contrast between cardio burning calories only during the session versus muscle burning calories around the clock is a visually compelling and emotionally resonant short-form concept. Title suggestion: the difference between burning calories and building a body that burns them.